Hi, this is Jeff Shapiro, and for the next half hour, I'll be reading from the August 14th, 2026 issue of the Livingston County News on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. The county updates ethics and disclosure law. From Geneseo, the Livingston County Board of Supervisors voted on Wednesday to approve Local Law D, an amended restructuring of the 2018 Ethics and Disclosure Law intended to modernize standards and better reflect guidance from the State Controller's Office Model Code of Ethics for Local Governments from 2023. All present supervisors voted in favor of the law. Officially titled Local Law Number D, a local law amending and restating Local Law 2018-3 to amend, quote, Livingston County Ethics and Disclosure Law, unquote, the updated law aims to improve transparency, accountability, and compliance in line with best practices set forth by the state, according to county officials. The New York State Controller's Office actually updates its model ethics code every so often, and so we try to keep pace with that, said County Attorney Matt Lanahan. The law also explicitly incorporates the role of the county's compliance officer, Christine Studioso, who was hired by the county last June to replace the Board of Ethics and establish more consistent oversight of disclosures and other ethical considerations. We've had Board of Ethics, but it was volunteers. It was hard to staff. It was hard to keep trained. They lacked the expertise. So we think this is going to be far better, Lanahan said. The 2026 amended law maintains many of the same aspects of the 2018 law, but it reorganizes it with clearer sections and headings. The Comptroller's model policy, I thought, was a much more efficient layout, Studioso said. That, truthfully, is one thing that I'm a huge proponent of, trying to get some of this information into a more understandable and organized format, Studioso said. Still, many similarities remain between the 2018 law and the 2026 update. For example, both versions of the law maintain that employees and officials should not use their positions for, quote, direct or indirect financial or material benefit, unquote, and they both also require that employees and officials have to disclose any interests or potential interests in companies or organizations that have county contracts. Both laws prohibit overseeing a relative's business, hiring relatives and spouses, and participating in the awarding of contracts to relatives or spouses. They also set strict limits on the use of municipal resources for personal or private purposes and limit the maximum dollar value of gifts to $75. But the new law will make a slight change to the definition of interest. In the 2018 law, the definition of interest meant a direct or indirect pecuniary or material benefit accruing to a county official, his or her spouse, child, or dependent, whether as a result of a contract with the county or otherwise. This included owning capital stock in a company that has county contracts. In the 2026 law, a county official or employee is deemed to have an interest in a county contract with a private organization when they or their relative is an owner, a partner, a member, a director, officer, employee, or directly owns more than 5% of the private organization's capital stock. This means that a county official or employee can own 5% or less of a company's stock and not be deemed to have an interest if the county grants a contract to that company. But that change is not unique to Livingston County and seems to be taken verbatim from the Model Code of Ethics for Local Governments that is available on the State Controller's website. The new law also broadens language about personal relationships. While the 2018 law defined terms like spouse and dependent, the 2026 amended law includes relationships that may not be spouses, defining the term intimate relationship as meaning a romantic or sexual relationship with another person. This category of relationship is now specifically mentioned in Section 14 about the prohibition of preferential treatment. The 2026 law also tightens the rules on future employment, requiring wait periods or approval from the county administrator for former county officials or employees who wish to represent or provide services to private companies or organizations in connection with any particular transaction in which he or she personally have substantially participated. While some of the rules have changed, Studioso describes her role as focused on the implementation of the rules. Legal will read the rules, help interpret the rules, and then compliance will help take that interpretation and get it implemented within the organization. Within municipal government, there's a lot more to it than you might see within a financial industry that has very specific rules and regulations just for that finance world. In government, we have multiple different departments, multiple different groups that are working on everything from healthcare to highways, Studioso said. Studioso worked for Navient for 13 years, gaining experience in consumer finance, debt collection, and healthcare compliance before taking the position with the county. I came in with a lot of healthcare knowledge, but have definitely spent the last year learning more about some of our specific government departments and the rules and regulations surrounding them, Studioso said. The new amendments to the ethics law, she emphasized, adds what the state recommends and what the county has already put in place, namely her position. The meat and potatoes of it really is just reorganization, making sure we're meeting the New York State standards, and then just adding in the piece that I'm now here with the county and we have a compliance professional on staff, Studioso said. Star of the Sea. Camp Stella Maris celebrates a century of campfires, community, and faith. For thousands of children, summer break doesn't start when school lets out. It starts when Camp Stella Maris begins. For a week each year, phones get put away, and life shifts to campfires, cabins, and canoe rides. Kids who didn't know each other a few days earlier end up singing the same songs on the shores of Canisius Lake, just like campers have been doing for 100 years. This summer marks Camp Stella Maris' 100th anniversary, a milestone that celebrates a century of faith, friendship, and growing up at camp, while also looking ahead to what's next, including a new field house under construction. What began in 1926 with just 12 campers and $20 in the camp treasury has grown into one of New York's longest-running Catholic summer camps. Today, Camp Stella Maris welcomes about 2,500 children each summer through its overnight and day camp programs, while serving thousands more throughout the year with retreats, school groups, and community events. For Executive Director John Quinlivan, who's in his 17th year leading Camp Stella Maris, the centennial is about more than celebrating the camp's history. I think for all of us, it feels like we're part of this really great tradition of serving kids. All of us build on what came before us, Quinlivan said. Founded by seminarians Gerald Lambert and Eugene Hudson, Camp Stella Maris established its permanent home on Canisius Lake in 1927 after Rochester businessman Max Russer purchased the property. Over the past century, the camp has expanded with new cabins, recreational facilities, and gathering spaces, while maintaining traditions that have defined a century of summers. Quinlivan arrived at Camp Stella Maris after a career in nonprofit theater management in Geva Theater. During his tenure, he has overseen several major improvements, including a new chapel, an expanded infirmary, waterfront renovations, and the construction of a nearly 9,500 square foot field house expected to open next summer. The new facility will provide indoor recreation space for campers during inclement weather while expanding year-round programming for the surrounding community. Quinlivan said the building will host youth sports, pickleball, walking programs, and community events outside the traditional camping season. We realized we needed to expand the off-season. It's really going to be a community space, he said. While new buildings continue to reshape the camp, John believes its greatest strength has remained unchanged. Children still sleep in cabins, spend their days swimming, paddling canoes, practicing archery, making crafts, and gathering around evening campfires. Campers leave their phones at home, allowing them to focus entirely on the people and experiences around them. We try to stay very traditional. Having kids not staring at their screens all day is amazing. It's transformative, said Quinlivan. Those traditions are reinforced through countless small moments that have been passed from one generation to the next. Campers still sing Father Abraham while crossing Abraham Bridge. Stories and legends continue to circulate through the cabins, and games like Capture the Flag remain staples of every summer. For Quinlivan, those traditions offer something increasingly rare. This may be their first time away, and we're teaching independence. Those are skills that set them up for when they leave home or go away to school, he said. That personal growth is something Armando Mando Tapi has witnessed for more than half of the camp's history. Now, in his 54th summer at Camp Stella Maris, Tapi first arrived as a 17-year-old after friends invited him to help at camp for a week. Over the decades, he has served as a counselor, a camp director, ball field director, and year-round caretaker. It's special. Being that I've been here for 54 of them, I've gotten to witness our 50th, our 75th, our 90th, and now the 100th. It's just magical, Tapi said. Tapi has watched countless campers grow into counselors. Counselors become parents, and parents return with children and even grandchildren of their own. Quinlivan said that same generational connection between the defining theme while putting together on a commemorative book 100 Summers, Camp Stella Maris 1926 to 2026, which celebrates the camp's centennial. The common thread is that everybody had somebody who came before them who helped them. You were a camper, you had a great counselor. Then you became a counselor and had a great mentor, said Quinlivan. Tapi remembers greeting families whose ties to Camp Stella Maris now span 4 generations. One longtime camper later sent his daughters to camp, and this summer, those daughters sent their own twin girls. Now the twins act like they've known me for years. That's the magic, Tapi said. Those returning families are one reason hundreds of alumni are expected to gather during the last weekend of August for the camp centennial celebration, reconnecting with old friends and sharing the place that they once called home with younger generations. Both Quinlivan and Tapi say camp's greatest impact extends well beyond recreation. John hopes every child leaves camps having grown, whether by gaining confidence, learning responsibility, or just simply discovering that they are capable of more than they thought. Leadership programs for older campers provide opportunities to mentor younger children, work in the camp store, and develop skills that prepare them for future jobs and leadership roles. It's okay to take risks here. It's such a loving atmosphere, said Quinlivan. Tapi has seen that transformation play out thousands of times, whether it's a camper hitting an archery target for the first time, overcoming homesickness, or just forming friendships that last decades. They're friends now. They write to each other. They call each other, and they meet up. Faith has remained another constant throughout Camp Stella Maris history. Named Stella Maris, meaning Star of the Sea, the camp was founded by Catholic seminarians and continues to incorporate prayer and worship into the daily life. But both Quinlivan and Tapi emphasize that the camp welcomes children of all backgrounds. We're not trying to convert people. We have lots of kids who come here who aren't Catholic, Quinlivan said. You're listening to a reading of articles and features from the Livingston County News and the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. Instead, the camp focuses on helping children live out Christian values through kindness, friendship, inclusion, and service to others. Each week, campers vote for the member of their cabin who best represents those values through the camp's long-standing cross and star tradition. It's about loving each other and taking care of each other, being friends, and not excluding people, said Toppy. As Camp Stella Maris enters its second century, both men believe that the buildings, the programs, and traditions all point toward the same purpose that has guided camp since 1926. It's just the joy, said Quinlivan. The kids show up, and that sound, the smell of campfires, it just screams joy. Kitchen table issues are focused in Dansville. Democrat candidates talk affordability as a town hall session. Affordability and issues important to working families and retirees were the focus of speeches by 3 Democratic candidates for state and federal offices during a town hall meeting August 4th at the town of North Dansville Town Hall. Gladys Flores Garcia, Michael Mills, and Alyssa Ellman came to the largely Republican village to make the case to voters that they should be elected over the 3 Republican incumbents. The event was sponsored by the Dansville Democrats. A focus of the evening were the struggles of families and the increasing difficulty maintaining a middle-class lifestyle. Candidates expressed concerns about the affordability of education, daycare, and the overall cost of living. Garcia, who is challenging Andrea Bailey, who's a Republican from Geneseo, for State Assembly District 133, spoke about her life and how the circumstances she faced inspired her to run for office. Born in Puerto Rico, Flores Garcia is a mother of 2 who practiced law on the island for 7 years. She came to New York State after Hurricane Maria flooded her office and generally upended her life. Not wanting to put her children through that again, she decided to relocate and rebuild. During that time, she faced many difficulties while working and raising her children, and she noticed that she was not alone. I saw the people in my community working themselves to the bone, working themselves sick, and I was no exception to that, Flores Garcia said. Those issues inspired her to run for office. I was tired of being represented by people who haven't had a day of struggle in their life, who haven't missed a plate to give more food to their children, or don't have to sit down and look at their bank account and decide which bill they're going to pay in order to keep their lights on and in order to feed their families, Flores Garcia said. With most families needing child care, either because both parents work full-time or because the children live in a single-parent household and the single parent works full-time, Flores Garcia and the other Democratic candidates emphasized child care as an area of need. I know how expensive daycare is. I had to work multiple jobs in order to pay for daycare and be able to pay for a house and be able to pay for a car. And every year what I see is property taxes go up, rent goes up, grocery prices are going up, gas prices are going up, and health care is unaffordable. And I say no more. It's time that we change that, she said. Alyssa Ellman agreed with that sentiment. Ellman, who's an Army veteran, former special education teacher and mother, is running against Claudia Tenney, a Republican, Cleveland, for a seat in U.S. House of Representatives serving New York's 24th District, which includes all 4 of the GLOW region counties of Genesee, Livingston, Orleans, and Wyoming. It's costing people who are making $20 an hour more than a third of their total income to put one child in daycare. You want to know why the birth rate's dropping off? Because people simply cannot afford it, Ellman said. Her solution, extend universal pre-kindergarten programs to include younger children. I think we should use public schools. We need to have educated people teaching our kids while the majority of their brain is still developing. 75% of the human brain is developed before the age of 3. Don't you think we should be investing there? Elman said. She cited an example of a child with a speech or physical delay. When we wait till a child is 6 or 7 to get treatment, those same kids have worse outcomes. It takes far longer. We're talking the difference between weeks and years of treatment. We could actually save money, Elman said. Many of the talking points were centered around affordability. Mills cited his own backstory and the success of his parents in climbing the social ladder. I didn't grow up with privilege. I spent the first couple years of my life in a trailer in Honeyhill. My father jumped from job to job, said Mills, who's running against Pamela Helming, a Republican from Canandaigua, for the state Senate seat in District 54. They worked hard every single day, but hard work alone isn't the entire story. They also had something that too many families today don't have, and that's a system that helped people who are willing to work, he said. Today, that's not possible for enough people. That isn't because people aren't working hard. It's because the systems that once built the middle class aren't working anymore, said Mills. That's why I believe affordability is the measure of fairness. Government should be judged by one simple question. Does it make it easier for ordinary people to build a stable life? And if it doesn't, we're failing, he said. Elman cited needs such as affordable housing, as well as access to food, but blamed corrupt politicians for the lack of solutions. There are real systemic issues that are solvable, but we have to have the will to solve them. And as long as we continue to elect people who are in this for their own enrichment and in this for their own personal career, we will never have the things that we need in rural New York, she said. Elman also highlighted the cost of electricity, which she called crazy. There's a commission that decides when they do a rate hike, and they can blame data centers that aren't built and they can blame the grid. But I employ a data analyst who's one of the top data analysts in the country, and those factors do not account for how much the rates have been hiked. They have given 6-figure bonuses to every single one of their CEOs. They're making record profits at the energy companies, she said. Solutions to high electricity costs might include federal programs to insulate and weatherize homes, because the cheapest electricity is electricity that you don't use, Elman said, or the federal government could even support local energy production. The other thing that I'd like to see is a federal fund to help small communities find their own power sources. So whether it's windmills, a solar farm, hydro, or geothermal, that community gets the funding, federal funds, to build, create, and maintain their own sources of power that benefit the people in that region, she said. This, she says, might satisfy those in rural areas who are against renewable energy development. I've heard a lot of pushback about how ugly solar farms and windmills are, but they look a lot prettier when your electric bill's $12, Elman said. Also dominating the speeches and responses to audience questions were issues such as health care and Social Security. As a woman, I want to not just protect, but I want to expand women's reproductive rights, said Flores Garcia. We know that there are people in our district driving over 45 minutes to an hour to get health care. I want to expand health care in our rural community. I want to make sure that a woman in our community has access to certain care, reproductive care, prenatal care, hopefully preventive care, she said. Those are not radical things to want. Being healthy is not a radical or a communist or a socialist thing to want, Flores Garcia said. It's a slap in the face that we send billions of dollars to other countries that do offer universal health care to their people, while they tell us in our country that they cannot afford it, she said. Elman agreed with the idea that health care is a human right. I would like to see an expansion of Medicare, done through really intelligently over the next 20 years. Elman said, every 5 years we lower the age of Medicare, and the third time we lower it, we include everybody who's under the age of 18, she said. Our ensuring the solvency of Social Security, Elman favors lifting the wealth cap. I just can't believe that it has come to this point where we think it's so hard to just do the right thing in this country. It really is not that complex. We put people before corporate profit, she said. Although the Democratic Socialist wing of the Democratic Party has seen success in recent campaigns, the candidates all rejected the label of socialist. This campaign isn't about left versus right, no matter what you heard. And it's not about socialism or democratic socialism or whatever label they want to ascribe to people who want to fight for you. It's about whether the next generation will have the same chance that my parents' generation gave me, said Mills. I believe that if we work together, Democrats, Independents, and Republicans of good faith, we can rebuild the ladder of opportunity to help build my family and so many of yours, he said. Ellman also called for government reform to enact term limits and to get money out of politics. She cited a dialer system that her campaign uses that allows them to see a donor's past contribution history. If you pull up a billionaire, you can see every donation that they've made for the last 25 years. It's always alarming to me to pull up a billionaire and see that they've donated to the top 7 or 8 Democrats and the top 7 or 8 Republicans, she said. We're picking corrupt people to represent us over and over again. Ellman said. The Democratic candidates admitted that they don't have all the answers for the problems facing the state and the country, but they all said that, if elected, they would work hard for the constituents. Ellman used the metaphor of a snowstorm to represent the work that needs to get done. In Western New York, we know all about snow, and sometimes when we're sitting in our houses in the window and we look outside and we know the weather's coming, we say, oh, it's cold, oh, it's going to be wet. Oh, there's going to be 4 feet of it. Some people sit on their couch and some people pick up a shovel. I'm a shoveler, she said. You've been listening to a reading of articles and features from the August 14, 2026 issue of the Livingston County News. Your reader has been Jeff Shapiro. Thank you for listening.